Afternoon. It was quite amazing that we got all three domestic fixtures to go ahead yesterday in Britain at Ascot and at Haydock and at Taunton. So let's say a very warm welcome and a massive well done to Kim Bailey on the success of First Flow in the Clarence House Chase. Kim, I'd imagine there was a quiet, demure, restrained celebration last night.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to describe it, Nick. And under normal circumstances, for a Grade 1, I would have taken all my staff out for a large drink and let them enjoy the evening as much as I might have done later on. But sadly, it wasn't to be. But I think they will understand perfectly well that I'm really appreciative of what they've done.
You're somebody that we all go to regularly because you're very approachable, easy to talk to, always willing to talk about your horses. In the lead up to yesterday, there was a certain irony in that it seems that nobody wanted to talk about First Flow at all. Was that irony lost on you?
It was a strange one. Actually, I felt that I had more publicity through it than I possibly thought I might get. Because I had, obviously, Tom Stanley from doing a thing on Matchbook. A couple other people rang me up about it, and that was about it, really. Strangely enough, I mean, we went into the race yesterday with 5 wins under our belt, a progressive horse, not really sure where we were. And I rang Tony Solomons, his owner, during the week, and I said, we're definitely going to run on Saturday. And yesterday morning, he rang me, having looked at the paper, and said, why on earth are we running in this race? We've got no chance. I said, Tony, we have to find out. It's all very well going for a handicap, but we have to find out. The horse deserved to go yesterday. And it's nice to go under the radar rather than over the top of it, if you understand where I'm coming from.
Definitely understand where you're coming from. I just want to talk about the owner, Tony Solomons, because I was reading today that he is now in his 90s. He's been an owner with you for right since the beginning, hasn't he? Or a long time. He was with me my second season, so he's been with me for, well, as I say, I'm amazed he's 90. He should be about 40, really, but it feels, time flies very quickly, doesn't it? And, Tony's been with me, most supportive owner I think I've ever had, really. And to give you some sort of idea what a man he is, I bought a horse some years ago in France for him, and the horse arrived, and 2 days later we turned him out in the field, and the horse unfortunately was hit with a thunderstorm. And not that the thunderstorm hit him, but he galloped around the field and charged up the gate, and the gate was full of mud, and he slipped into the gate, and unfortunately he injured himself and had to be put down. And I couldn't get hold of Tony, and I knew he was at Ascot, so I drove to Ascot on King George Day, and the first thing I said to him was, hi, Tony. He said to me, how's my new horse? I said, you're not going to believe this, but unfortunately he was killed this morning. And he said, Kim, that's awful. I said, well, you haven't received the bill, you haven't seen the horse, you haven't seen anything. He said, Kim, don't worry, it's not your fault. Please replace him. And I sold him half share in Harry Topper. So, yeah, he deserved his big win yesterday. Harry Topper went on to be a wonderful horse, and now he's got, dare I say, an even better one. That was a really mesmerising performance as well. There was something incredibly exhilarating about it. When David Bass started to engage down the back, what were you thinking watching on in the stand?
Probably I was thinking he's an effing idiot, excuse my language. I thought, what on earth is he doing? But I've known David for long enough, and I love him riding my horses because at the end of it, he does the unpredictable very well. And he had utter faith in the horse. And, in the paddock, we both said, well, the ground's going to be too quick for him. And I said to him the last best performance of the horse's career was at Ascot on this sort of ground. So who knows? Just go for it and see what happens. Neither of us expected to win. But no, we did hope for a very big race, and we thought if we finished third, we'd be thrilled. But, he did things we'd never seen him do before, and jump and gallop. We knew he'd stay. I've always said he's the toughest horse I've ever come across, and he'd run for a brick wall for you. And yesterday he did.
But having said that, and I know he's had plenty of experience, you have minded him a little bit. You haven't put him in the heat of Grade 1 competition too many times in his life. And was that a conscious decision to try and nurture him to this point?
Well, I'm a great believer in fate, and funny things happen in your life. And this horse I bought from Kerry Fanshawe and Robert Fanshawe as a 4-year-old, and we saw him work in Lambourne. And Tony had asked me to buy a horse for him, and I thought, well, fine, this will do the job. We ran him in a couple of bumpers, ran him a few times over hurdles. He had a very soft ground season, his first season over hurdles, and he ended up winning that race at Haydock yesterday as a novice, and he went to Cheltenham with a fancied chance, and probably shouldn't have gone there because the ground had gone against him. But we were being a little bit careful and stupid, really, because we felt it was Tony Solomon who was keen. He didn't think he'd ever have a run at Cheltenham again, so that was a mistake. And the following season, which was going to be his novice chase career, we were due to run him at Hereford first time out, and he had a dirty track wash the day before, so never ran. And the rest of that season, the ground was good to firm, so we never ran him. And Tony was unbelievably supportive and said, look, I know that I've got faith in you and I believe in the horse. Let's be patient. We never ran him over fences. We finally ran him once more on the Imperial Cup at Sandown, because that was the only time we found soft, heavy ground. And he ran very well to finish fifth. And in hindsight, of course, that's given the horse 12 months to really mature and fill out. And, of course, last season he came through and ran a couple of times at Ascot early on because Tony could get to Ascot. And he progressed all season to win his last 4 races very, very comfortably. I know we were pot hunting, but we were doing it on purpose. We wanted to go and see whether we can get him going forward. And this year we started off, and his performance at Ascot first time I thought was almost more stunning than yesterday, because he came from behind, which is something we never thought he could do. And his jump at the last that day was certainly a do-or-die moment from Davy, which he produced again on numerous occasions yesterday. If he got it wrong, they'd have rolled past the winning post, not gallop past it. Patience has been put in my hand by the fact that we've had circumstances to give him time.
And as you pointed out, and you talked so warmly about Tony, not every owner would have been perhaps as patient and as understanding. And your career has been very much back and on the up now for quite a long time. It's rather reductive to say, oh, you've just come back to the big time, because you've been training important winners now for a decade. But there was a period which was fallow. Do you think without people like Tony Solomon, you'd still be training horses?
Well, I mean, I had a rotten time up in Northamptonshire. Everything went wrong. We were virtually closed down by foot and mouth. We had a gallop washed away. We went from 90 horses down to about 30 in a matter of weeks, and it was an unbelievably trying time. And the owners that stuck by with me have all had good horses since, and I'm hugely appreciative of the fact of their support, because we did lose owners. It was very sad to lose them, and quite a few of them have come back now. But it is a trying time. You have to look back and say it was quite honestly a shit time, if you want to say that. But I look back in life and say, well, we're very lucky. We moved to Thorndale Farm and with 25 horses. We've gradually built up. Peter Kerr, who runs all my syndicate, was a major player in getting syndicates together. Matt Nichols joined me from Tom George. He actually went via Carla Wedding when he was in Lambourne. And Jason Maguire was obviously a major factor riding for me as well. And it's been a slow process, and I've got a really good team behind me. And this is a team sport. Let's not face it. I'm sitting here talking to you, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes who play a major factor into any yard. And getting back to where we are is a strength of character for everybody. And owners and staff are hugely important. And obviously, people buy the horses, etc. Aidan Murphy has played a major factor in buying a lot of these horses as well. So it's been a time I've really enjoyed. I forget the bad times very quickly and look forward to the good times. And the good times have been really good since we've been here.
It's funny, actually. I was watching the race at Taunton yesterday on my phone, and I was watching it with Ollie Murphy, who had a winner down there, Aidan Murphy's son. And Ollie was cheering you on, but he said, "Oh my God," he said, if Bassi doesn't get Politolog beat, he'll get himself beat. There was something, that was what made it so exciting to watch. There was something sort of so counterintuitive about the whole thing, wasn't there?
It was extraordinary, really, because, I mean, knowing Bassi like I do, you could see him halfway down the hill thinking, right, mate, let's take you on. And I thought, oh no, this is going to be a war of attrition. And Bassi loves that sort of thing. I mean, I've had plenty of people in the past say, why can't he sit still? Why does he fire his horses at fences? He has an awful lot better than he is now, what he was some years ago when he fired them every single fence. Now he waits for the moment. But on the big occasions, he knows how to ride these horses. He knows the horses backwards. And for him to go and do what he did on First Flow was extraordinary, really, because the horse won't jump at home. I mean, he crashes through every single fence at home. We school him over telegraph. Well, we did telegraph poles. We now school him over tractor tyres. That's the only way we can get the horse to show any respect. So, as he said afterwards, he said, you won't believe it. You can jump a horse like that round Ascot. You can't jump a small fence at home.
I wondered watching him yesterday, watching David Bass yesterday, whether we all ought to be on a vegan diet or all ought to do veganuary or whatever. If it makes us all that brave, that fearless, that single-minded, and completely impervious to any kind of outside pressure.
I think he's a bit of a nutter, isn't he? I mean, the horse and he go well together. I use nutter because obviously nuts are obviously something very much in his diet, because at the end of it, as you say, he's a vegan. He comes in here, we give him a chocolate bar, he goes mental at me. And he was horrified when I said last night, I'm afraid on this occasion, I think I'm going to break my dry January and open a bottle of wine tonight, because I've got to have something to celebrate. And he looked at me in amazement. I imagined he was going home for a lemonade.
I know we've made much of the fact that it's your first Grade 1 win since 1995, and when I said it at the beginning of the show and said it's 26 years, I started to make myself feel a bit old as well, because I can remember Master Oaks and Alderbrook like it was yesterday, as I'm sure you can. I know you've talked about the difficult times in between, but you do, if you're an optimist like you are, you do remember the good bits, and the bad bits sort of start to ebb away into the back of your mind, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think you should ever turn back and remember bad things. I mean, if you spend your entire life remembering bad things, there's something seriously wrong with you. You've got to be positive in life. You've got to look forward to the future. That famous advert, the future's bright. You've got to be positive in life. And if you're not positive in life, there's absolutely no chance you're ever going to succeed anywhere. And I was determined when I came here to make it work. And a lot of hard work goes into it, but I mean, I'm lucky enough. I get paid for something I love doing. It's not a job to me; it's a way of life. And if I was lucky enough to win the multi-million-pound lottery tomorrow, it wouldn't change my life. I would still do exactly the same thing. The only thing, I might buy some incredibly expensive horses.
Well, you might get bought some incredibly expensive horses. I mean, people are creatures of. They do follow fashions. Oftentimes trainers will say off the back of a big win they haven't had a single phone call, but when it sort of wins at Grade 1 level, you must, or graded level, you do find people coming to you more. As you said, some owners are boomeranged back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest thing at the present moment in time is that, yesterday, big day like it was, there was nobody there. And half a trainer's job is meeting people, and meeting people is perhaps the most important way of finding new owners. And we've had a really good season this year. We've had, winners at all the big tracks. And we haven't had situations to be able to go around and meet new owners, new people, or anything else. And it is difficult. That's the really hard part. Harry Fry picked up some good owners by meeting him in the owners and trainers bar. And I mean, that's how you meet people, because at the end of it, it is a word of mouth situation. And you walk into a box having had a Grade 1 winner, the chances are you might walk out that box with someone saying, "Go on, if you see a horse, let me, will you buy one for me? Or can I get involved in a share or whatever?" And missing that opportunity is the biggest downside of everything. But having said that, I wouldn't swap the season for anything. I mean, it's been a good season to have a good season, because frankly, racing's been a big flag bearer to what's been going on in our life, and it's shown on TV and with the ITV and the Racing Channel and Racing UK. It's been so good for people sitting at home doing nothing. They've given them a whole new meaning to life, which has been fantastic.
And you were saying about your chance meetings with owners can get you horses, and we saw it yesterday with Rich Ritchie's horse Royal Pagaille winning at Haydock, and a chance meeting with Venetia Williams. He said, "If you ever find a good one, think of me." And hey presto, they've got a Gold Cup horse. And funnily enough, when he won that and people were talking about the Gold Cup and your victory there, it almost reminded me of that amazing season that Master Oats had when he started the season really as a complete non-entity and ended up winning the Gold Cup.
Very similar. Both horses wanted very soft ground, and I remember we won the Greenall Chase at Haydock, which has reverted to Kempton because it was so wet at Haydock they had to abandon, and Kempton ran the same day as the Racing Post Chase. We won the Welsh National, not in Wales but at Newbury, because it was abandoned at Chepstow. I mean, he was an extraordinary horse for the ground that he prevailed on, really. But he ran a blinder in the Grand National to finish fourth on top weight on ground that was too quick for him. But these horses, they're unique, and Venetia's horse is hugely impressive, and I've got a lot of respect for him. I mean, we took him on first time out this season, a novice chase with a horse called Espoir de Romay, and David still can't believe he beat us as easy as he did, and we gave him £5. So we have to look back and realise he was a very good horse, and there's a horse that's progressing. And so often with one of Venetia's, he had very little form going into the race from last season, and just keeps on improving.
And I think, you know, the fact that we've talked about a lot of the very good horses who are pre-made, if you like, ending up in so few hands, I think everybody appreciated the fact yesterday there were some, not smaller trainers, but some different trainers on the honour roll of some of the biggest races on a Saturday afternoon. I don't think that fact was lost on anyone. And now I bumped into you, Kim, at Lord's, I think, in 2019, and you said to me, apropos of not very much at all, did you know that I think I'm the second longest serving national hunt trainer in the country? Is that...
Thank you, Nick. That's very kind. And I think that conversation we need to pass over quite quickly. I'm trying to produce youth here and people to have horses in training with me. I don't want to be... Longevity is one thing, but we've been at it a long time, and I started very young, Nick. I think that's the right way to describe it.
I didn't sense that it was a source of frustration. I sensed that you had a bit of pride in it. I mean, you did start really young, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I started. I mean, I had my first winner when I was 24, you know, we've been at it a long time, and I remember every single winner. I've got you know, all the big winners I can remember very easily. But if you ask me about any horse that I've had over the years, the chances are I remember exactly where it won and what it did. And you know, they've all been memorable moments. And I've got a current syndicate horse at the moment, which has got some people in who were involved in my very first horse that I bought in my first season. It was a horse called Brig. It was ridden by Sam Mooreshead, and the owners had come back in and we've got shares with me now, which I think is lovely. I just think that's a really good sign that they've followed through after all these years, and I think that's a testament to time for all of us, really.
I mean, you put all your kind of experience and thought, and you've told us the thought process of getting First Flow to yesterday. Could you have done that age 24? Because you've got a horse like that to do what he's done in those days, or not?
I think it's very different, because in those days you could actually have a novice chaser which would go through the season and win 7 races. Well, I mean, nowadays it's nigh on impossible. I mean, go back to Mr. Frisk. I mean, he won 7 races his first season as a novice chaser. Well, you know, it doesn't happen anymore because the races are framed where you can't do that. So your situation has completely changed. You know, you just had Richie Forrestal on 5 minutes ago, and you know, he used to work for me. He was a conditional jockey with me, you know, he rode some really good horses for me. And it's extraordinary how the racing life has changed dramatically over what I was going to say a short period of time, but for anybody else, it's been quite a long period of time. But racing has changed, and the framing of racing has completely changed. And there's been a lot of things about the fact that the Gold Cup horses don't run in handicaps, and obviously yesterday that might be a case that's proved wrong. But you know, the Borough Hill lads of this world, they carry top weights and big handicaps. That doesn't happen anymore. People are too frightened to go and do it, and they're looking after their horses in a very different way than they used to. I mean, I think Hen Knight probably started that when she took her horse off to win 3 Gold Cups by not running him very often, and it's filtered down really in many respects, and we are very guardians towards our horses now.
Now, I'm certainly not suggesting, and I know you didn't want me to say that thing about how you were the longest serving trainer in the country or whatever it was, and I'm certainly not suggesting that you should be in an institution yet, but it did strike me when I was putting this show together that, it made it sound very grand, no one puts this show together anyway, when I was thinking about the show, that you are something of a racing institution, because there was the link with Richie Forrestal, who rode for you as a conditional jockey, and we had him on. He's one of the senior journalists on the Racing Post. I'm about to talk to Joe Chambers, who's the racing manager to Rich Ritchie. I will be talking about Royal Pagaille. I'll also be talking about Monkfish, and I looked there, and of course the Grand Dam of Monkfish was probably one of the best mares that you've trained, Martimick. So you sort of are linked everywhere. The spokes of the Kim Bailey wheel are all over this programme this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Martimick, she should have won the Sunlight's Novice Chase. We were beaten by Mr. Le Cure with John Edwards, and which is frustrating. She went and won the Martel Cup after that. She was a very, very good mare. She was a complete cow, quite honestly. She would bite and kick and do everything you could possibly imagine. And I bought her offspring, Martimick, which is the dam of this famous horse now. And Alan Horsell owned it, and she wasn't much good, quite honestly. But I mean, if he kept her as a broodmare, who knows? Anything would have happened. But You know, I sent him a text message the other day saying, God, I bet you'll wish you kept her now. But of course, if he had, it wouldn't have produced the horse we had, because it's all about mating. But yeah, no, it's extraordinary. Martinique was a long time ago a very, very good horse. And I bought it off Joe Crowley, who's obviously father-in-law, or was father-in-law, to Aidan O'Brien.
Well, as my children often tell me, talent sometimes skips a generation. And it clearly has done in this case. Kim, before I let you go, I can't not ask, are you just going to bowl on and roll the dice in the Champion Chase with First Flow?
Well, obviously, it's something now we're going to have to think very seriously about. There's not much else for him. The horse is absolutely fine this morning. He's eaten up last night. He's bright and perky, as he always is. Definitely, and we have to think very seriously about it. And yeah, I think we'll be going to Cheltenham if the ground is on the softer side of good, which invariably it is. Simon Clace for water accordingly. I shall take him out for dinner a few times to make sure he puts extra water on for the Champion Chase. And yeah, it'll be great. I want to go there, and I would just dearly love to win it. I have every right to go there now. We won the horse when it's progressive, and his performance yesterday suggests that we have to go, and that's where we're laying up for.
And you know as well as I do, and everyone does, and I was with Paul Nicholls at Taunton yesterday, and he is the most competitive man out there, and he said straight after the race, no excuses, we're beaten by a younger, better horse on the day, and you've got to take your hat off to them for serving it up from so far out. And I thought, well, if there was ever any...
Well, it was good of Paul, and he sent me a text. And Paul sent me a text after, which was very kind of him. And bizarrely, I had a phone call from Andy Stewart in Barbados, who rang me to say well done and pass on my congratulations to Tony Solomons, because he used to work for Tony Solomons and Singer and Friedland many years ago. And he had John Hales with him, who came on the phone and said well done as well. So there you are. It's a small world, isn't it?
And Kim, thank you so much. Many congratulations yesterday. It was a very popular triumph, and it was wonderful to watch as well. Pass on our congratulations to everyone in the team.
You're a star, Nick. Thank you very much indeed.
Kim Bailey, trainer of First Flow. A super result yesterday, and Neil Channing's been